What's up, ladies and gentlemen? I am Guru951, bringing you the TauCeti breakdown. TauCeti breakdown. TauCeti breakdown. Not in its cinematic masterpiece as I hope to do, but you know what? We're just going to do it raw, and that's just the way I like it. Especially since I don't have much time and I'm suffering a pretty mean creative block, okay? But let's look at TauCeti in a pretty good detail. You make of it what you will. I'm obviously coming from a pretty biased opinion and position, and I'm just going to explain it to you as how I see TauCeti. You be the judge of that. I will provide all available links in the video description below for you to look at. I highly suggest, as you go into systems that have, let's say, unique bodies or unique names or unique station names, definitely do yourself a favor if you have your phone available or a tablet or a second monitor, and research these things. Wiki the heck out of everything. That's my suggestion. There are many commanders out there that are doing that, and I think all of us who are doing it can attest to the fact that you learn a heck of a lot by doing that. The amount of knowledge you gain from doing that is pretty phenomenal, and it leaves a pretty strong impression on you, in my opinion. It's something I never really considered doing before this whole puzzle began, really. Now, if you haven't listened to your codex, it is on your ship in the functions panel. At least first and foremost, look at the Raxlet and Dark Will codexes, and then I would highly suggest you just basically take a look at all the codexes. They're pretty intriguing, quite honestly, very well done. You can add them to a playlist and listen to them as you fly around, and it's just really cool. So, TauCeti, first system we jump to, hyperspace jump. It's very close to Sol, under 15 light years. Let's go to the first planet. We have Saunders' claim. Alright, Saunders. Who is Saunders? I'm not very sure if Saunders is a character in the lore. At the same time, I'm not really concerned with that either. If you look at the wiki of Saunders, you will find that Saunders is actually another name for Alexander. Weird, right? Okay, it gets even weirder. If you know me, you know my love for Alexander the Great. And I can tell you right now, if you were to do a pretty good intensive research on Alexander the Great and his travels and his journeys in history, you can find many places correlating to his story if you look right. So you will be brought to some pretty intriguing places. I highly suggest you take a look at that. Now, at first, that's what I thought we were supposed to do. Do I think I was wrong on that? I don't really know. I'm just going to say no. I'm going to say that I'm glad I did the research I did, and I'm happy with its results. All right, but Saunders, another name for Alexander, according to the wiki. Let's look at what's on Saunders. You have Poincare legacy. What is Poincare, or who is Poincare? Well, Poincare is actually Poincaré Conjecture. Poincaré Conjecture, what the heck is that? That is a very difficult subject to explain. I highly suggest you look at videos on it. I can tell you right now, any video you do watch on it's going to be about an hour long, and it's going to, unless you're well versed in math, unlike myself, I am not by any means well versed in math. And it's a very intimidating subject, but nonetheless it is intriguing to hear about. Poincaré Conjecture was a math problem, 1 out of 12 that were chosen in a contest. I want to say within the last 10 years, in which a scientific organization said if anybody can provide proof that any of these 12 math problems are real, that you bring them beyond theory, we will give you $1 million. Only one of those math problems was shown to have proof of being real, and that was the Poincaré Conjecture. What is it, though? Now, I'm going to butcher my understanding of what it, I'm going to butcher what it probably really is, but I can tell you that it appears to be a major mathematical breakthrough Probably one of the biggest in our generation, if I'm right. And it has to do with creating a 4D sphere out of a 3D flat space, or a flat 3D plane, somehow turning that into a 4D sphere. I don't know what it means. I don't know how it applies to what we're doing here. I don't know why they dedicated a station. Actually, more. There's many Poincare stations in the game. I don't know why they've done that, but it's here, and it seems like it maybe is relevant. Maybe it has something to do with what we're looking for. I know that there are things called Borromean Rings, which we will look into we'll go through this system, and I'll explain further once that subject comes up. Borromean Rings are connected to the Poincaré Conjecture. Next, Ortiz Moreno Ceti. Who is Ortiz Moreno? Ortiz Moreno discovered the ice moon Haumea. Whoop. Not going there yet. In our own solar system. Now, if you remember in the Raxla Codex, it says Raxla has been defined as anything from a cosmic state of enlightenment to an unremarkable moon. And here we have the planet Haumea. It's just an ice moon. Pretty cool. I mean, you might as well go take a look if you're in Sol. It's not very far out, 25,000 light seconds. This place would probably be pretty awesome to look at. I bet. I don't know. I'm not being cryptic there. I'm just talking. All right, Haumea. Now, the interesting thing about Haumea is, and that is a pretty unremarkable moon. Haumea actually has a system. And it, too, has an unremarkable moon. Why? The only difference I see between this Haumea and the one in Sol is the one in Sol is landable, and this one is not. Now, remember earlier I spoke of Borromean Rings in their relation to the Poincaré Conjecture. Now, Borromean Rings, which, once again, I'll put the links in the video description below, are a set of 3 rings that somehow maybe allow the Poincaré Conjecture to work. I would imagine it seems like that's what it is they're both related. And it's basically like, now mind you, in Haumea, we only have 2 rings. In the Borromean Rings, there would be like a 3rd ring. It would be like something at this angle or something like that. And with those 3 rings, you would somehow be able to create a 4D sphere out of a 3D flat space. At least that's how I understand it. Do your research, right? But there appears to be a ring missing here. I went through this system. I went around I followed the entire orbit line of here. Couldn't find anything. Followed that orbit line, which is pretty small. Didn't find anything. I flew around for a few hours trying to see if I can't find anything in system using parallax. Couldn't find anything, so you be the judge. There are many planets that have been discovered by people in Sol, and I don't think all of them were given systems in the game. So why Haumea? Why Haumea? And why is it just an unremarkable moon, right? Is this telling us something? Is that what we're looking for? Are we looking for an unremarkable moon? What does it mean? You be the judge of that. We're going to go back to TauCeti. And yes, I know. Too many bookmarks. You have too many bookmarks. And moving on. Okay, so now next we have Taylor Colony. Who is Taylor? I don't know. Don't really know. I definitely have my sneaking suspicions, which I'm going to tell you about right now. But you have Gilmour orbiter orbiting Taylor Colony. Let's first look at Gilmour. There is an interview online article with David Braben, in which they ask him, what is your favorite music album of all time? He says, Pink Floyd's The Wall. Now, if you are familiar with Pink Floyd, you know that David Gilmour is the singer, was a backup singer for The Wall. He's also lead guitarist to Pink Floyd. He's now the lead singer of Pink Floyd, as well as guitarist. But nonetheless, he is in Pink Floyd. And Taylor, who is Taylor in connection to David Gilmour? Taylor is Phil Taylor. Phil Taylor is David Gilmour's guitar tech. He's been his guitar tech since the early 70s. And he helped David Gilmour achieve his unique sound, his signature sound that made it all possible. Okay? He even wrote a book about David Gilmour's guitar. Phil Taylor. All right? David Gilmour, Phil Taylor. Why would this be in here? Why would this be in here? Okay, and all I can surmise is this. If you were to listen to The Wall, word for word, from which I highly suggest you do. I haven't been a Pink Floyd fan like I am now, ever since discovering this. You will find that the very first track is called In the Flesh, and the very first words, which happen very fast and at a pretty low volume. So when you listen to the song, when you first turn it on, turn the volume up and listen, and you're going to hear the words. Is this where we came in? Okay. In the Flesh. And The Wall is about a man named Pink. And Pink is incredibly depressed. He's pretty much on the verge of suicide at this point. He's like the living dead. You know, he's just done. Doesn't go outside. He's got all sorts of reasons to be depressed. Lost his father in a war, an unjust war by, politicians who ultimately got his father killed, and just all sorts of things going on with him. And Pink encounters somebody who helps him to break down these walls within himself, which there's all sorts of different walls within himself. And nonetheless, this person helps Pink destroy, all these bricks in the wall, so to speak. And he comes out a changed man. He comes out living a full life, full potential. He learns to fly, so to speak. And he recovers from his depression. Right? He comes transformed as a meeting of this person. All right. Now, in The Wall, there is a track called Empty Spaces, in which they ask, how should we fill these empty spaces? In that track, there is a secret message played backwards, as they would do back in those days. And in that secret message, which, like I said, this wiki for this song will be put in the video discussion below. Empty Spaces, secret message. It says, congratulations, listener. You have found the secret message. Please contact Old Pink with your answer. Please contact Old Pink with your answer. Let's go to social. Let's go here. You will see that we have Old Pink. He still ain't accepted that friend request. He has been offline for 48 months. That is 4 years, my friends. How long has this game been out? About 4 years. So, in other words, Old Pink got the game and never played it. That's what it appears like to me. Very curious of what this means. Very curious of what this means. It just seems odd, does it not? There's a secret message. It just seems really odd. Just seems odd. Going back to the galaxy map. Sorry, system map. So this is my opinion that this is David Gilmour, Phil Taylor, based on the David Braben interview stating that Pink Floyd The Wall is his favorite album. Now, this would imply that they're speaking of some sort of journey. Maybe this is a journey David Braben went through himself. Maybe it's one that he's hoping he can push us through as Raxla hunters. I don't really know. I suspect that's what that is they want to transform you. And I hate to say the J word, but it seems to be implying some sort of journey. I hate to say the J word. Now, if you're unfamiliar, back in the day, DJTruthSayer hosted a live stream with the elite or the frontier writer Michael Brookes. Michael Brookes was asked, what is Raxla? And he says, it is a journey every commander has to take for themselves. Now, I am paraphrasing. I will provide a link in the video description below with that live stream. But he states, it is a journey in which everybody has to take for themselves. If you can help me take the word journey and turn that into a physical object, please, I beg of you, in the comments below, help me figure that out. I hate to say the J word. I know people don't like to hear it, but you got the writer of the game saying it's a journey, and you got many fans saying it's not a journey. You be the judge of that. If you could turn journey into a physical object like a planet or a portal, help me out here. You right? Help me out here. Okay, moving on. David Gilmour, Phil Taylor, The Wall, Old Pink. Bell's wreck. What is Bell's wreck? Who's Bell? And why did he wreck there? I don't know who Bell is, necessarily. I have my suspicions, which I'm about to tell you about. Because we're looking at Graham, are we not? Are we not looking at Graham? Graham Bell. Alexander Graham Bell. Alexander Graham Bell. Why am I saying Alexander Graham Bell? If you look up the word Rax in Webster's dictionary, you will find that it is a Scottish word and it means to stretch. And one of the verses that it uses is to stretch a line between two posts. Well, Alexander Graham Bell, along with his partner Watson, had achieved the very first landline phone call back in the day. They were the first ones to achieve a phone call. And they did that through the stretching of a wire from point A to point B, a pretty far distance, and they made their phone call. Alexander Graham Bell. A phone call. Maybe a phone call to Old Pink. Maybe a phone call from Old Pink. I don't know. I don't know what it means at all. I have my suspicions that Saunders is Alexander, whether that's Alexander the Great or Alexander Graham Bell, I'm not sure. I'm assuming at this point that whoever solves this, whoever cracks this case, is probably going to get a direct contact from probably David Braben or Michael Brookes themselves or something. They're going to have some sort of direct line of communication. Rax means stretch, a stretch of the story, stretch of the truth. It seemed like a stretch of a line between two posts, according to Webster. You be the judge. Next we have Avogadro. Who is Avogadro? Amadeo Avogadro was a scientist. I haven't been able to make any sense of how this relates to the search for Raxla or anything like that. But there's a thing called the Avogadro Constant, which is the number of constituent particles, usually molecules, atoms, or ions, that are contained in the amount of substance given by 1 mole. No idea what the heck any of that means. It is proportionally it is the proportionally fat it is the proportion it is the proportionality factor that relates the molar mass of a substance to the mass of a sample, is designated with the symbol Na or L, and has the value 6.022140,857. There's a math thing there. I'm going to provide that link in there. You be the judge of what Avogadro means. I would love to know your opinion. Now, the one interesting thing about Avogadro is that it is 7,242 light seconds away, and TauCeti 4 is 3,814 light seconds away. So it's roughly, 3,000 light seconds closer to the sun, or to the star, than the station is. How does that work? I mean, you're looking at here, 44 light seconds, 394 light seconds, 755, 7,242, and 3,814. Why is that? That is because Avogadro is orbiting a comet, which cannot be seen because the game does not have comets that render, so you cannot see the comet. I'm not making this up. This was confirmed on the forums by FDev through a bug report. Somebody said, it appears Avogadro is orbiting nothing, and they say, in fact, it is orbiting a comet. But it is still strange that it is further out than TauCeti 4, yet TauCeti 4 is further out than Avogadro, at least on the system map. I don't know what to make of that. Now, one major thing, in my opinion, a major thing I want to cover is about this installation here, Hidden Mountain Estate. Hidden Mountain Estate, the installation itself, I'm convinced it's nothing really major or of significance. However, the name Hidden Mountain Estate, I think, does have significance. And the reason why is, in my research, I have found many planets named after mountains. I have also found many planets named after regions of the world. And mind you, real-world mountains, real-world regions on planet Earth, and real-world bodies of water, especially many rivers of the world. There are many planets named after all of these things. And it was really intriguing at first. I didn't really know what to make of it until I started really looking into TauCeti, and then I realized it said Hidden Mountain Estate. And when you go to Van Maanen star, they have an installation there called Slow Stream Farms. Now, in ancient Egyptian mythology, once a person had died, their soul would go to Orion. And from Orion, they would go to the Milky Way. And these were, I believe, the north and the south gates of Orion, or gateways of Orion. And then it's based on how that soul had lived their actual life. They would encounter certain obstacles or tests or whatnot, and then something would happen to them if they can pass those or, overcome these obstacles. Probably, achieve mastery over death, I assume. I would hope, anyways. Which is interesting because I was having this discussion in the Independent Raxless Discord, and Commander Scolio the Most had mentioned how that seemed reminiscent of the Raxa Codex, and how it talks about Fernway, and Fernway is also means to like hike or to journey, to move, to travel. Is really right. And when you travel, what do? You do pass mountains and rivers. And if you look at the most epic journeys in history, these all, for the most, many of them take part in the sea and on bodies of water and whatnot, by boat specifically. Which, thank you, Scolio, that actually helped reaffirm my belief in this, because these systems that have these planets named after mountains and rivers, I have had very intriguing gameplay moments in these, specifically in terms of NPC behaviors. Very playful, alive NPC behaviors, which, yes, I understand that these do happen, but they seem very prevalent for me, and maybe I'm just seeing these things for what I want to see, but it seems to me that they are important. Make of that what you will, but it is my belief that Hidden Mountain Estate and Slow Stream Farms in Van Maanen Star are significant hints at what we are supposed to be looking for. Okay, now we are at Gilmour. Now, the interesting thing about TauCeti is you have Divine Galen Elliot. Okay, who is Galen Elliot? Galen Elliot is the head of Sublime Order of Van Maanen Star. And Van Maanen requires a permit, in which you get that permit through TauCeti and by doing work for Divine Galen Elliot. Now, who is Galen? What is that name, Galen Elliot? Galen was a Greek doctor. He basically founded medicine. He was the first person to do brain surgery, all sorts of stuff. Pretty much they considered that if you were under the care of Galen, then you had a high chance of not having your limb chopped off or, death, really. Infections, all these things. Galen was the foundation of medicine as we know it now. People are still studying his work, still boggled at the achievements he had done. And he did this in Alexandria. Much of it, anyways, I'm sure. The majority, as far as I understand. But he is tied to ancient Greece and all this, right? So, Galen Elliot. Sublime Order of Van Maanen Star. The representative, when you go to the passenger missions, is Kaylee Winters. Kaylee Winters. All right. Now, notice her title, Pilgrimage Mentor. Pilgrimage to what? Where are we being led to? Where is this pilgrimage leading us to? What is it leading us to? Why are we on it? And how do we fulfill it? That is my question. How do we complete this pilgrimage? I want to go there. Now, the one thing I have noticed and I have been paying pretty sharp attention to are these forehead tattoos. If you were to take a very close look at this, you'll see it is 4 what appear to be like hexagons, and there are leading lines right here and one right there, and they all lead to right in the center, basically right where her third eye would be in terms of spirituality. That's where third eye chakra would be, your all-seeing eye. And one other thing to note is that there are 4 different tattoos you will find on people's foreheads. There's this one. There's another one that looks like a little barcode. It's pretty small, little square. There's another one that is just a charcoal swipe. And then there is another one that will be found over some people's left eyebrow, which appears to be some sort of barcode as well. But I have noticed that there are 4 different tattoo types. For me and my approach, I have been focusing on passenger missions for the most part because they do take you to interesting places. And the people I take are primarily, not always, but primarily the people I take have tattoos on their foreheads. They also, you will find some people who have scars across their face, big cuts or across their face or across their neck. Sometimes small cuts. They'll be very hard to distinguish. Sometimes you have to be like, is that a wrinkle or a cut? And you'll eventually realize that it is definitely a cut. For me, I take those passengers just because it just seems like something that stands out, and they typically want me to take them to interesting places, not just simple ice geysers or out, to some place that everybody goes to way, thousands of light years away. They typically want to go close by, interesting lore-related systems and lore-related Taurus beacons. And so my suggestions to you is maybe do some experimenting with that, maybe not. That's up to you. That's what I've been doing. It has been leading me to at least in terms of the storyline and understanding of lore and finding certain themes. And not only that, they do sometimes lead you on some pretty fun adventures, ask you to go do some cool little side stuff, they'll be like criminal masterminds, a rebel leader. They don't want to get scanned, yet they're asking you to go into a a place you don't really want to go into, necessarily sneak somebody into, you know what I mean? So basically you got to smuggle them in, then you got to smuggle them out because they want some good, typically beer, funny enough. But nonetheless, I pay attention to those tattoos. I noticed she has the tattoos. Divine Galen Elliot has the tattoos. I have noticed that there are 4 different tattoo types on foreheads. Also, once just to go over again, and that sometimes you'll find scars on the face, and sometimes you'll find a big scar across their neck. Typically, those scars are on like generals, or you find them on like criminal masterminds. Pretty top-notch, people. So this is the Sublime Order of Van Maanen Stars. These are representatives, Kaylee Winters and Divine Galen Elliot. Now, next video I will be doing the Van Maanen star breakdown, and I'm not going to say that one's more important, but it is, in my opinion, very important. Now, thing about the Raxla hunt is that from what we are aware of, nobody has really found anything. I don't want to say tangible, but nobody has found like a physical object or been brought into some secret mission, I think we are all at this point just kind of scratching our heads going, what's really going on? Like, are we just that dumb, or are we just waiting for it to be developed? A lot of people, I think, will tell you that they don't think that Raxla is in game yet. Maybe we're far ahead of the curve, and they're trying to play catch up with us or something like that. But I think a lot of people are under the belief that Raxla is not in game. I personally do not believe that. I believe Raxla is definitely in game. I pretty much stated my opinion on what I think Raxla is. I think. As Michael Brookes seems to have done. But once again, I'm biased, admittedly so. You be the judge. But nonetheless, ladies and gents, I really highly appreciate you being patient with me. I do apologize that we didn't do this in a more cinematic, artistic fashion. I just don't have the time anymore, or the energy, really, the creative energy to do it like that anymore. So I think for the most part, unless something comes up, for the most part, with these sort of breakdown videos, I'm going to be doing it in this format. I hope it was educational. I hope it was insightful. I hope it, provides you some sort of other options to look at. Maybe give you some ideas. Maybe it didn't. I don't know. But nonetheless, I hope it was fun. And thanks for watching. Thanks for supporting my channel. Thanks for still sticking by me. If you thumbed it down, thank you very much. If you thumbed it up, big time, thank you very much. If you subscribed, thank you very much. If you're a new subscriber, welcome to the channel. Everybody, a big, giant 07 to all of you. And I hope to see you all in the black, and I hope you are the chosen one who gets to find it. And then I hope you get to tell me how you found it, because I would love to know. As amongst, I'm sure many, many other people would be. So with that being said, ciao. Till next time, friends.